Well, greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome to Open Mic, the show here on the John Campea YouTube channel where the mic is open. The floor is yours. What do you guys want to discuss? What topics or questions do you have? Send them on in, and if they're appropriate for the show, we will read them and address them here on the show. Now, there's two different ways that you can send in a topic or question here to the show. The first way is if you don't watch the show live and you're watching this video any other of the 23 hours of the day and you want to send in a question, you don't have to wait for the show to be live. You can send it in right now by going to our tip link at streamelements.com/John Campea/tip and send it in then. Or if you are watching live, the super chats are open. You can send in a question or topic live right now as we're doing it, and we will address your question or topic again if it's appropriate to be addressed on our show. So we are ready to get rolling here. Now, I'm going to let you guys know that today's show is going to be a little bit shorter than normal. I actually, Ann and I have a new doctor, and we've got our first visit with our new doctor today, so I got to go and do that. But we are going to get through as much as we can, as quickly as we can. So, Jonathan, let's get things rolling here. What do we have up first?
Okay, we got Baldur's Gate with a three-parter. Baked Orc. Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the few AAA games left today that allows you to host a server over LAN. So this allows you to do multiplayer on separate PCs with one copy of the game.
Oh, nice.
I have family sharing enabled with my fiance's Steam account. So I go into offline mode, start Baldur's Gate 3, and host the game. Then my fiance will access it since I have shared it with her from my Steam library. She can then join me locally hosted game, or my locally hosted game, and Steam only recognizes that there's one instance of the game running. Larian also has a great track record of implementing flawless remote play together. This option would allow you to stream the game to your friends without them needing to own or download the game over the internet. Play and chat, maybe.
I don't think I'll do a play and chat with that because that game to me, see the best play and chat games for me, I've always found were things that don't take a lot of my attention. Because when I'm doing play and chat, I want to make sure I'm actually engaging with, the audience watching me. So that's why online poker was always a good one. That's why World of Warcraft was a good one, right? Because there's a lot of downtime in World of Warcraft, whether you're just traveling from here to there. A lot of it is traveling, like walking or horseback riding or flying mount or whatever, going from here to there. A lot of time to just stop and engage with the audience and all that kind of stuff. I don't find that for me stuff that's pretty intensive or that's constant action going on would be very good for playing chats. But I mean, I don't know. Again, all I know is that I am very excited about trying Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Now, ever since I saw them first reveal it a couple of years ago, I thought this looks like finally, I mean, I don't know if it will be or not, but finally a true Dungeons and Dragons feeling kind of game on a game console or on a PC. So I'm looking forward to it.
And I do like how they went back old school with the one copy. Like, because a lot of multiplayer games I like to play with my friends, it's like only one person should need to own the copy, like especially if you do like a LAN or something like that and you share it. So I don't know. It's just
that's one of the great things about when the pandemic was going on. Ann and I got a bunch of our friends and we started every week playing a game of the You Don't Know Jack games, right? And one of the neat things about that was only one person had to have the game. As long as you had the game, you could set up an online server for it and everybody could join in and participate and play. And so during the pandemic, we'd play a lot of over Zoom. We'd play a lot of You Don't Know Jack.
Because what you're literally telling people is like, oh, 3 other players want to play with me. They got to fork over $60 too each.
And that's not unreasonable. Actually.
That's not unreasonable.
If you want to play the game, you got to buy the game.
But most
I get
situations
that.
I am into, my friends will only play this game if I'm playing with them or the vice versa. You know what I mean?
Right,
so it's kind of like, I don't know. Whatever. Get your money. Get your money, game companies, but still, it's wrong.
It's not wrong.
Wrong.
All right, what's next?
Min writes, if the next Fast movie ends up losing money, would Universal consider ending the Fast franchise, or would they try one more movie?
I think the plan, so they say, the plan is to end the franchise after the next movie anyway.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the end. This is supposed to be the end of the road. Now, Vin Diesel kind of dropped a hint that maybe there would be a Fast X Part 3, but that was only something he said off the cuff on one red carpet somewhere. And, Ray brought up, and it could be that the third movie they were talking about might be that Hobbs movie.
All right.
That apparently is going to come in between Fast X and Fast X Part 2. So I think it's coming to an end regardless. And at this rate, I hate to say it because I'm a fan of the franchise, but at this rate, seeing how quickly it's dropping, I think the next one will lose money. I mean, depending on whether or not they're going to be able to reel in the budget, because I guarantee you, Fast X was one of the most expensive movies ever made in Hollywood history. $340 million production budget. That's insane. Like, absolutely insane. And so I guarantee you that the conversations have already happened between Universal and Vin Diesel saying, hey, yeah, can't wait to make Fast X Part 2, but you don't get the same budget. You're going to have to cut the budget like in half.
But family.
For family.
And if Vin's gone, that franchise is done. It's over. Just close the book on it. When Vin Diesel is done with this franchise, this franchise is done to me.
I don't believe so.
They'll find something else, but it won't be
spin-off.
Fast
Because
anymore.
you know what made more money than Fast 9?
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, really?
And that was without Vin Diesel.
I don't know, but
I theoretically think you could theory, not that they have any plans to do so, but I think Hobbs and Shaw proved that you could do other films in this Fast and Furious universe, and they don't have to have Vin Diesel. I mean, it helps if you have Vin Diesel, but it doesn't have to have Vin Diesel in order to succeed. So, and I'm not saying they will make any more. I think the franchise is over, but I mean, they theoretically could try something else. Maybe. I don't know. All right. What's next?
Min is back and says, did the first trailer of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes get you anywhere excited for the movie?
It was way more interesting than I thought it would be. Like, I'll admit, and I don't want to get myself on the bad side of, you know, I don't know,
the Hungarians.
The Hungarians? Is that,
The Hungarians.
I mean, the
Sure, that's
Potter,
what they're called.
Potter fans call themselves Potterheads. Yeah, what do Hunger Games fans call themselves? The Hungarians.
Hungarians.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, the Hungarians.
I don't want to get myself on the bad side of those folks. But I never understood why they were even making this movie in the first place, right? I had very, very little interest in it. And then they showed us the preview for it at CinemaCon. And all of a sudden, it looked quite interesting. Like now, it's like, okay, now I'm on board. I'm not going to say I'm super hyped for the movie, but it moved me from really not having any interest in it to, okay, I see what you're doing now. I'll go see this movie. So, yeah, who knows how good or bad it'll end up being, but I am at least at this point intrigued. I'm at least intrigued. All right, what's next?
Garden Variety Vagabond says, awesome opening and 50 minutes. I'm guessing that's...
Oh, I'm assuming, yeah, you're talking about Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I said this the other day. I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I don't want to get too excited, because the reality is many Disney Plus shows start off great.
Oh, come on.
I mean, you have to, kind of.
They
You
all-
kind of have to, right?
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
no, listen.
It's kind of like a requirement to do that.
Between the options of starting great or starting weak, I'll take starting great any day of the week. You have much, much better to start great. It is than to start not great.
Name me one series that fell off.
They've all been like 10, 10, 10 right from the beginning. But I mean, the reality is like She-Hulk. I thought She-Hulk had a really good first episode. I was quite excited about the series after watching the first episode. And we all saw how that went. Mm-hmm. Obi-Wan. I thought Obi-Wan started great. I loved the first episode of Obi-Wan. And I ended up pretty disappointed in the series. Moon Knight. I thought Moon Knight started really strong. I thought it started great. I was totally into it. And I ended up pretty disappointed with it. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was really great. Now, I still enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It wasn't a disappointment to me like She-Hulk or Hawkeye was for me. But again, it started better than it finished, right? I mean, overall it was good. I liked it, but that first episode I loved the first episode, and it ended up being, yeah, I liked it. I mean, I like the series, but that's the thing. Disney Plus tends to start strong. Secret Invasion started strong. I really enjoyed that first episode. Now, again, because like I said, Secret Invasion is a show, an MCU story that's right up my alley. Political espionage thriller. Like that to me always gets me hooked, and seeing them doing it in the world of the MCU is particularly exciting to me. So great start, Yes, but again, I'm not willing to go, well, that means the whole show's going to be great, because I just don't know that that's the case. All right, guys, listen, before we move on, we're going to take a quick second here and thank one of the sponsors of this episode of Open Mic, our friends at Rocket Money. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode. All right, guys, let's get back into it here. Jonathan, what do we got up next?
Michael Kurtz writes, I didn't understand the CGI doesn't matter as much as the story until I saw Elemental. Gonna be honest, I didn't love the animation between the two leads with fire and water, but wow, what a fantastic movie. Loved it.
Yeah, listen, I had no problem with the visuals and the animation style of Elemental, but it's not like it blew me away. Like, it was perfectly fine. It was perfectly fine animation. Perfectly fine. Wasn't great, wasn't amazing, wasn't awesome. But yeah, that's the thing. That very quickly becomes a secondary issue if the story's good. If your story is good and your characters are compelling and there's great dynamics going on screen and it gives you that experience and it makes you feel and it makes you laugh and it does all those things, then at the end of the day, the animation style really becomes almost unimportant. And I'm not saying animation style has no meaning or no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that when the story is good and it's bringing you along, it doesn't really matter and you don't really care. I mean, look, the visuals in video games today are quite good, but they're not like Pixar CG animated great storytelling, right? When you're watching a cutscene, you can tell you're watching a cutscene. But guess what? When a video game has a great story, and there's not many of them that do, but when you're talking about The Last of Us, you're talking about Red Dead Redemption, you're talking about Uncharted, particularly 4, when you get, or God of War, when you get a great story and characters you get connected to and all that kind of stuff, the fact that it's cutscene animation, it doesn't matter. You get drawn in and you get immersed in it. And yeah, and Elemental and again, nothing wrong with Elemental's animation. It wasn't the best, but it didn't matter because the story was so good. I completely agree with you on that. All right, what's next?
Okay, Michael's back and says, in a span of a little bit over a year, we got 3 live action Batman, Pattinson, Affleck, and Keaton, and we're getting another in about 3 to 4 years. Think this confused audiences?
Nope. I think it might confuse people who aren't really into the movies and they hear about it for a second, but about 30 seconds later, people aren't, driveling morons. They figure it out. I mean, listen, 2 of those were in one movie, right? So, and it was pretty easily explained. A lot of people thought and were worried about, hey, we got Robert Pattinson Batman movie that's not part of the DCU. This is going to confuse audiences. Well, I think there probably was momentary confusion for a minute, but then you just explain something. Oh, no, this is like in a completely different world. It's a different Batman. Oh, okay. People get it. So there might be some momentary confusion, but again, the whole Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton thing was in the same movie. So I don't really think it's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Okay. Just J Newbie writes, hey crew, I recently downgraded my Netflix to the ad tier, but I can't watch Peaky Blinders because it's not supported by the ad tier due to licensing issues.
Yes.
Can you please explain this to me? Kind of bum, thanks, and bring on the filthy.
I can't explain it to you. Look, all I know is, and we talked about this when they were introducing the ad tiers, and they said like most of Netflix's stuff, most of it was also going to be made available on the ad tier, most of it. But that meant, of course, that there was going to be stuff that wouldn't be, right? That there was going to be some content that didn't transfer over. Now, it's kind of interesting, it says, due to licensing. What did it say? Bring that up again.
Licensing issues.
Yeah, licensing issues, right? Hulu has a similar thing because I've been a Hulu subscriber for a long time. I have the premium, whatever it is, so there's no ads, right? But every once in a while, there would be a show that says, due to streaming rights, you'd hear a narrator saying, due to streaming rights, this episode of such and such will have an ad play before and after the show. And then an ad would play before the show starts. No ads would play during the show, but there would be an ad at the beginning because certain shows had certain licensing, whatever. So with Netflix, there are certain shows, and I can't explain how or why this works, but certain shows, the license of the shows does not cover them properly being ad supported. And therefore, those things can't show on the Netflix ad supported tier. And I'm sure it's frustrating and whatever. But I mean, the reality is, though, that whenever you don't have the top tier of something, there's going to be things you miss out on. Right. And I think we all know that. I mean, not every service I subscribe to is the top tier. And I understand when I subscribe to something that's of a lower thing, I may not be getting all the perks. I may not be getting all the content. And again, I would be upset about it if I signed up for Netflix ad-supported tier believing I was getting all the content, but they did make it very clear in their materials that the ad-supported content will have most of the content on the regular Netflix. It just will not have all of it. By the way, I didn't even realize Peaky Blinders was on Netflix. For some reason, I thought it was on something else.
No, it's Netflix.
No, it's always been Netflix.
It's always been on Netflix.
That's why I was kind of confused. It's not like it's a licensing issue where, it's a licensed show. It's a Netflix show, So it's strange, but whatever.
Yeah. So, but again, it could have to do with, a lot of Netflix shows aren't produced by Netflix.
That could be the issue then.
Right? Like it's many Netflix shows are not produced by Netflix. Several of their big major ones are, but many of them aren't. They're produced by other people, but Netflix is the place that they stream it and therefore becomes called a Netflix original. But yeah, that could have a large part of it. All right, what's next?
Sailor Girl writes, in the UK, people are going to be picky with films, especially families. We're going through a terrible cost of living crisis. Just had bad news with mortgage rates, hence terrible box office numbers here. Nothing to do with comic movie fatigue, etc.
Again, there is no such thing as comic book movie fatigue. I'll debate anybody you want to line up in front of me. I'll debate them. There is no such thing as comic book movie fatigue. If that was the case, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 would have made $300 million. What there is a fatigue of is mediocre movie fatigue. Right. And I think that's been pretty established. I mean, look at it. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has already made more money than the first Spider-Verse movie already. So don't tell me there's comic book movie fatigue. There's not. There's mediocre movie fatigue. And the reality is, over the past couple of years, we've had a pretty good string of mediocre movies, right? A pretty good number of mediocre movies. And people have gotten tired of it. But once you start putting like excellence out there, people get on board. Now, then you get something like the DC films where the audience has just given up on the DC property for years now. I mean, that's been deader than dead for the longest time. But with other comic book stuff, like you get Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That was a bad film. So, but Ray, look it up for me. How much money did Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania did? Because as much as I crap on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I still think it very easily surpassed like the top box office grossing DC film in the last 5 years, which was Black Adam.
$476.
$476. Yeah, so made almost $100 million more than that. And so, but that was a bad movie, right? But a lot of the other ones, like you just put out something good like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, doesn't matter. Boom, almost $850 million. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, one of the best films of the year, already passed Into the Spider-Verse's box office numbers. So, yeah, and listen, true, the economy is always going to play a part of it. It's always going to play a part of it. It attacks every aspect of consumerism, right? Whether it's the number of baseball games you go to, the number of trips, your vacations your family goes on, whether or not you buy that new car, whether or not you buy a TV for your kid's bedroom, and how many movies you go to. So it's always been a part of it and always will. All right, what's next?
Wesley C writes, with a situation a huge franchise like DC is in, what cost-saving measures does the studio do? With films made already, but lost audience trust. Mitigate marketing costs, pump up marketing to max out opening, do the unthinkable and Batgirl it to reboot.
I mean, yeah, that's a problem. We talked this morning on the John Campea Show podcast about the fact that it is going to be a very dark, dire couple of years for DC because the audience has already given up, right? They've given up. This is clear. They're not supporting DC. They don't care about the DC stuff. And that's been the case for years. Like ever since Aquaman made $1 billion in 2018, no DC movie is made out of the 300 millions. None of them. 3 of them have made in the 200s or less. Maybe 4. 3 or 4 of them have made 200s or less. Flash is not making near the money that, and I think Flash is fantastic, but it's not making near the money. It's only made $140 million to date. That's worldwide. So they got these 2 other movies still to come that are part of the old DCU that went into production before, the new ownership took over Warner Brothers. They inherited this. I saw one thread about people trying to say, oh, Flash is James Gunn's failure. James Gunn had nothing to do with Flash. This movie was made before even Warner Brothers was owned. This was back when AT&T owned Warner Brothers. But what do you do if you're Warner Brothers now and you inherited these movies? You got Blue Beetle and you got Aquaman. Hopefully both of them are good, but I think they are wise enough to know Blue Beetle is going to flop, and it's going to flop hard. And I say that as somebody who's quite interested in seeing it. I think the trailers have shown a lot of potential. But even though I'm very much looking forward to seeing Blue Beetle, I think everybody's given up on DC, so it's going to flop. And I think Aquaman's going to struggle. And the last one made over $1 billion. So what do you do if you're DC? I mean, you're only making the problem worse if you don't market it, right? I mean, you can just hold back on the marketing money, drop it in theaters and say, hey, if we make $100 million, we make $100 million.
Yeah. But then you only have yourself to blame.
I mean, but do you? Because then you can make the argument, if we put in $120 million into marketing, are we really going to get like $200 more million in box office? And if you're DC, honestly, if you're Marvel, yes, it will. But if you're DC right now, until you reboot this thing in 2025, I don't know if that's the case. I'm not saying I don't believe it. I'm just saying I don't know. I'm struggling with this a little bit. I honestly don't know what they should do moving forward. That's why I said today, I think they just gonna have to bite down and just understand that the next couple of years are going to be really dire and really dark and really rough for being DC. And all you're doing is you're just plowing through it now until you can get to 2025 when you reboot this thing. But, well, we'll see. All right, what's next?
Amin writes, I know you guys aren't really part of the artist community, but the reason for all the backlash on the Secret Invasion intro is because if a big studio like Marvel uses AI instead of hiring real artists, then soon other companies will also taking away jobs.
It is artists who use AI.
Yeah, they use it as a tool. It wasn't that it replaced them.
Yeah, and it wasn't Marvel that did it. It was the production company that they hired. They are the ones that... Marvel didn't go, we're going to use AI to do this. No, Marvel contracted out the opening credits scene to a production company. And the production company then made it. And one of the tools they used was AI. But it is artists in that company who are using the AI to help them do it. And again, the production company that made the opening credits for Secret Invasion, they put out a statement today. We read it off. I think it might have been IndieWire. We read it off. IndieWire or Variety, one of the two, where the production company in question clarified. They saw the hoopla going on, like, oh my God, Marvel used AI to make it, The production company who actually did it put out a statement saying, no, it's just one of the tools we used. Our artists used AI as a tool to help create the opening. And I think people just need to get a little bit more context before, they start jumping off bridges and stuff like that. So yeah, there's that. All right. What's next?
All right. King Daddy Goat writes, rest in peace to the people in the submarine lost today.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I remember I was sitting down with Ann when I first came across a YouTube video the other day talking about submarine mixing, one of these tourist submarines that goes down. And I remember Ann saying, that is just my nightmare. Imagine being in this thing and losing contact. And I mean, I don't know what happened. I know they found wreckage now. I don't know if it imploded or if they suffocated first, or, I mean, yeah. I just don't know, but horrible, horrible, horrible. I was so hoping they would find him last minute, but.
Yeah, the best case scenario was they lost contact, but they surfaced.
Yeah.
So they're just floating on the surface, right? That was what everyone was hoping. Unfortunately, that wasn't.
But even then, the clock was ticking because I was watching the one outlet that even if the thing was floating on the surface, they were sealed in it and air would still run out.
Oh, that's terrible. And
they would have needed to still find them quickly. But yeah, just a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to hear. All right, what's next?
EAGC7 writes, actually, the decision to release Blue Beetle in cinemas was made by the OWB leadership in 2021, December. Discovery wouldn't take over until April of 2022.
Yeah, no, that is true. That's why, I mean, I used to say, because I forgot about that, I used to say a while ago that the new Warner Brothers made that decision. And that's why I said, like this morning when we talked about the story, I said the studio looked at it and said, hey, this is actually good enough to put in theaters, which is a great sign. It is a great sign for that movie. That was originally planned just to be dropped online, and that the studio looked at and said, you know what, we think this is good enough to put in theaters. So that's, besides the fact that I think the trailers have been promising, not the best trailers, but promising, the very fact that the studio looked at it and said, you know what, we were going to put this straight to our streaming service, but we think this is good enough to get a run. That doesn't give me hope that it'll be financially successful, but it gives me hope that it'll be good. And that's, at this point, all I can really hope for. All right, what's next?
All right. We got Chris Miner, who writes, go Spurs, go. Victor to San Antonio, huge night.
I have.
Was it NBA draft?
Did the NBA have its draft?
Let me see. Probably.
I mean, they certainly didn't play any games last night, so I'm not.
Oh, yeah, but there's that.
Is he a free agent or something?
There's that.
I know the kid with the 14-letter last name.
June 22nd. Yeah. So just probably it's.
Oh, so the draft is today?
At 4:30 p.m. it started.
All right.
So they probably drafted that kid.
Well, no, I think, did they have the first round?
I believe they had the.
Because they got that freaking nature kid that everybody's like saying is the best prospect since LeBron.
They're saying the draft is tonight.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, good luck to your Spurs. All right, guys, hey, listen. Before we finish off with all the questions we have sent in, we're going to take another moment here and thank a couple of more sponsors of today's episode, our friends at BetterHelp and Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Think about it. The person you were 5 years ago is not the exact person that you are today. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way that we do until we talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. And guys, striving for better mental health is something we should all aspire to. I've talked about this before, but when somebody goes to the gym, we applaud them for getting out there to improve their physical health. Well, it's about time that we start looking at mental health the same way, not just by encouraging the people around us to look into therapy, but by also taking the step to take care of our own mental health as well. So listen, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a short questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp and Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode. All right, guys, that down. Let's get to the rest of your topics and questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what do we got up next?
All right. James Welsh writes, why did Elemental cost $200 million while Spider-Verse with equal quality animation and bigger voice cast cost half as much?
It is not equal, and there are two very different styles of animation that has been done. And when you do the type of animation that Elemental is, that is more expensive animation to do. And it's significantly more expensive animation to do. So, and the voice cast in animated movies should not cost you that much because, you know, when you get a cast member shooting a movie, they could be committed to you for 2 to 3 months for being on set, blah, blah, blah. But voice cast, they could be 2 to 3 days that they just go into the booth and they're there. So it's a lot less expensive to get a celebrity voice cast in a movie, for an animated movie, than it is for a live action film. So yeah, a lot of those things go into to figure out. While we love the style of animation in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the reality is it's not expensive animation to do, and you can't. It's fine for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but you can't do a lot of movies in that style because it's now kind of stylized for that. But the full CG rendered, all that kind of stuff with stuff like Elemental, that is more expensive to make. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got John Redcorn, who writes over under 35%. Spider-Verse is #1 again this weekend. I might go over on that. Its only competition is Asteroid City and No Hard Feelings, really.
Asteroid City's already been out, isn't it?
Well, let me look at this. So Flash opened to what, 55 million?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that means let's say Flash takes a 60% drop, just in theory. If it takes a 60% drop, we're looking at about maybe $20 to $21 million that it makes.
Yeah, I think that's still over. That would still be over. That'd be #1.
Yeah, because Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse just made $27 million this weekend. It's going to drop by more than just $6 million more.
Yeah.
So I think it is probably unlikely that, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse may make more money than No Hard Feelings, which is opening this weekend. Mm-hmm. But I think Flash will still be ahead of it. Because like I said, I think Spider-Verse is probably going to make $17, $18 million this weekend. And I think Flash will make more than that in its second weekend. So I think it's unlikely. But hey, it would be great if it did. All right, what's next?
We got John Redcorn is back. What makes more money, Gran Turismo, Meg 2, or Blue Beetle?
Meg 2.
Meg 2.
Yeah, I think Meg 2.
What did the first one make?
No.
I'll look that up.
No.
What are you saying then?
Because I said Meg 2, but before I heard Jonathan say the third one.
Oh, the BDB, the billion-dollar beetle?
Billion-dollar beetle.
The first Meg made $530 million at the box office.
How much?
Yeah,
$530 million.
And this looks like it's like a little more flippant,
more bonkers.
Yeah.
More bonkers. And the internet went kind of crazy when the first trailer came out.
You're right.
I think Meg 2. And what was the third one?
It was Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I am very interested in Gran Turismo, but I don't think anybody's going to see it.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, so I think the Meg makes the most. I think Meg 2 makes the most.
I do too.
Probably by a good amount. All right, what's next?
Just sad. You'd want Blue Beetle to do it.
I still
but-
believe Blue Beetle is going to be the highest grossing DC movie.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
I'm just saying. I just say stuff sometimes.
What's next?
Balky is next. I think Blue Beetle has one big X factor for success, which is his first Latino superhero lead ever, and a young one that is already popular with the Cobra Kai age group. It could be the Black Panther and Shang-Chi of DC. If Gen Z turns out for this, it could blow up. But I mean,
Sure, but
that's
Don't
a long shot.
underestimate the Latinos.
no, but I don't know that this is going to appeal
Yeah,
to a
me
lot of
either,
people
but
in
you
the
know, I'd
demographic.
like to think I just like to believe that, you know, this movie will be supported.
I doubt it. And
Yeah.
so here's the other big thing too. For 50 years, Hollywood has tried the experiment. Get a star from a really popular TV show and put them in the movie, and the movie will blow up, and it never works.
It doesn't get the crossover.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, Cobra Kai is
I
not
honestly
even-
don't think. I honestly don't think that you're going to get a big influx of people going to go see this just because the kid was in Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I don't think it.
Now
But
the
that's what
Latino
I'm saying.
community stuff, that could help it. At least I hope it
Yeah,
does.
I hope
But
it can.
then the
We'll
question is, listen, I'm Italian. Just because you put an Italian in something doesn't mean I'm going to rush out and see it.
Yeah.
And I think people in the Latino audiences, they're not just going to be, oh, just because you put a Latino in it doesn't mean I'm going to rush out to see it. So I think they're going to use a lot of other factors as well as movie fans into their decision about whether to see it. Listen, I want this movie to succeed. I think it looks really interesting. I want to see it. I want it to work. I don't know that there's any X factor out there though that's going to make this movie be profitable. I really do, and I hope to God I'm wrong, but I think this movie is going to flop the kind of floppage that we saw Shazam 2 have. I really think it's going to be. I think it's going to be under $200 million. I'm not talking opening weekend. I mean, I think this movie is going to make under $200 million worldwide in its full total run, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. All right,
You will be.
I hope so. All right, what's
Daddy,
next?
King Daddy Goat writes WB to drop huge DCEU box set without both SS's
Oh, Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squads. They should at least have James Gunn's in there, man.
Why wouldn't they put the
Why
Suicide
wouldn't-
Squad in?
why- at least the first one.
The first one, I guess, could make sense, like more so. But man, if I had to
then didn't-
choose, put Guns in there.
Didn't the first one reference like the bat? Oh, that was James Gunn. Wait, which one's
No,
the
the
other?
first one had Ben Affleck in it.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck was actually in. But even the second one, what's the rationale of not putting in the Suicide Squad movies?
DC.
First of all, James Gunn's Suicide Squad is like a top 2 or 3 best DCEU movie they
I mean,
ever
I guess
made.
It doesn't have the Harley Quinn one in there either.
Harley
Oh,
Quinn's in the
Birds of
second
Prey?
Suicide
Birds of
Squad.
No, I'm saying
Birds
the
of
Birds
Prey.
of Prey doesn't have in there either.
Oh, so it's not
Oh,
including.
it doesn't have
maybe-
Birds of Prey?
So maybe it's the main
Yeah, it's
one.
just a
Is it a
Trinity.
Margot Robbie thing? Because all 3 movies that they're not putting in are
Yeah, it has
Margot, or have
Margot
Margot Robbie.
Could be a
But then if you
licensing.
look at it, the DCEU, if it was based on the Trinity, then that would make sense.
So Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman.
Yeah,
You can't really
BVS
include
probably.
everything else.
I guess, but if you're calling it a DCU box set, I mean,
No,
Put
they're
in the
gonna come out
DCU
with a
movies.
Harley Quinn box set. That's all that tells me.
Oh,
that's
but you know
separate
what?
Harley-
There's an even better box that has all of them. It's called Max.
It's called Max, ladies and gentlemen. Go subscribe to it
Wow,
today.
it's
It's the
my
place
God.
to watch
Oh,
DCEU.
Okay, Mr. Reeves.
All right, what's next?
Must be another deal you made.
Angel Silva writes, can't they kill off Canadian icon Robin Sparkles? Just kidding, but sad about good Canadian kid Kobe Smulders.
I'll tell you
well,
what.
I don't know what that
I-
means.
Oh.
I don't know what that means because I haven't seen it yet. So
Well, it's. I mean,
Well, so far, I'm not going to say it means anything yet.
I said like last year when I read the script, I said, "Oh my God, the ending of episode 1." And I had somebody write into me and say, "Oh man, I thought that was kind of a waste of a character." I said, "No. Listen, characters are there to serve the story, and that happening at the end of that first episode got me right into the story. It just it had, and it gave a sense of stakes and consequences, and it was great. Again, stories are not there to serve characters. Characters are there to serve stories, and if that character's death serves the story, and I really think it did, then I thought it was powerful. I thought it was really, really powerful.
Is it really a death?
I
But-
think so.
Is there
Yeah.
really
But,
a death?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Robin
is.
Sparkles is kind of a deep cut. That's her character played like a Tiffany like type of singer.
I don't know who it is.
Yeah, so Kobe Smulders from How I Met Your Mother. her
Right. I never
character.
watched the show.
Yeah, that's like a deep cut for there.
Okay.
It's like something from her past.
All right. What's next?
And then we got Zach Taylor. Have you watched Rosenbaum podcast with James Gunn? Yes. Have any thoughts? I love that he said he considers himself a writer more than a director.
Oh no, I we've talked about it. I did, but unless I'm mistaken, he did not say he thinks of himself more as a writer than a director. He said he thinks himself as a storyteller. As a storyteller.
Yeah, I think so too.
Writers are storytellers, directors are storytellers,
Yeah.
but he sees himself more on that level as I am a storyteller.
Yeah.
Whether that is writing or directing or whatever. By the way, I think if there's any of you guys out there who are still a little apprehensive about James Gunn taking over DC, which I think is the best move they could have made, you really should go and watch that interview with Michael Rosenbaum that he did. It's like, well, it's over an hour long and they cover some really, really great stuff. And it's a tremendous, and I was already thrilled with the fact that James Gunn was taking over DC with Peter Safran. After watching this interview, I got even more excited. I was even more hyped about it. He is absolutely 100% the right person to be leading DC into the new era. And they just got to get through this old regime's crap over the next couple of years. And hopefully they'll be able to build something bigger and better. And guys, that's all the time we have for today for this installment of Open Mic. For those of you joining us late, I had to mention at the beginning of the episode that today's episode would be shorter. Ann and I have a brand new doctor and we've got our first appointment with them today, and we couldn't push it any later. So I need to take off and go to that. But thank you guys so much for being here and making this little show part of your day. Thanks to Ray Ora for joining us.
Hey,
Jonathan Voico.
All right.
My name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. And until then, my friends, bye-bye.